Yes, here we go. It is Tuesday night, and we are back on the bus. 2 episodes in the space of 2 nights, and with 2 guests in 2 nights. So it's not just me slaving away on my own either episode. We had the brilliant Judge last night, and we've got the equally brilliant Mick joining us this evening. Mick, it's been a few weeks. Hope you're doing good, my man.
Oh, good, mate. It's been an interesting few weeks since I was last on, isn't it? To put it mildly.
It certainly has. And if anyone thinks that Mick's going to be our pilot for the night as opposed to bus driver,
I know. Just liking it. No, it's horrendous, but I'll do the night, I suppose.
It's funny, mate. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good, mate. It's all good. It's all about the content of the chat that matters the most. And you always bring plenty of that, mate. Right, okay, yes, we'll do all that good stuff. Geezer we like, geezer share, buy some hair, all that carry on. Remember as well, Bhoycie Bus subscriptions. If you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber. It costs you absolutely nothing. Hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you are a subscriber, please do hit the bell. Because if you hit the bell, it means you never miss these random episodes that we just seem to be doing at random times. You never know when we're going to go live. But when we do, we always like to think it's maybe worth your wee half hour or hour spent. Remember also, there is options to become a Bhoycie Bus member. It's $1.99 a month. Certainly helps keep the wheels on the road. And of course, it helps keep those bills paid that we pay out to do these episodes. But don't worry about it. If not, all the content remains free. Everyone will survive. We'll all get by, and we'll all be happy as Larry. I'm sure it'll all work out in the end, as they say. I'm talking about Celtic now, I think. Also, buysports.com, tasty pastry treat. When you use the code BUS1888 at the checkout, get using that, and you can get a tasty pastry treat with 12.5% off. Mick, where do we begin in the last few weeks? Obviously, it's an overdue catch up with me, myself and you. But it's been a bizarre amount, and I'll maybe just read off the title of tonight's show and let you take it away from there. The Celtic team, and the fans collective must maintain their momentum. You tell me why either have momentum right now.
Well, I think you saw last week or week before, Bhoycie, in terms of the fans collective anyway, there was another protest campaign put out called Not Another Penny, which means obviously barring match tickets, trying not to buy like merchandise at the Celtic shop, the food in the ground or stadium tours or go to bars and stuff like that, and that's going on until the end of January. So it's just a case of keeping the pressure on the board basically, and then we just can review the situation in January and see where we are there. But obviously, when the news broke last week, then that was on the Monday. We played on the Wednesday. So it was the fans collective come up with another protest there outside the front doors of Celtic Park, and the numbers were absolutely brilliant. And that was literally done with 2 nights' notice, even a night's notice, because that broke on the Monday, and it was kind of decided on the Tuesday night about going to the stadium and protesting outside. So the numbers that was pulled was absolutely outstanding. So it's just a case of keep the pressure on the board now and get to the end of January and then we'll see what it is. And obviously, I don't know if there's anything in terms of protests done for Sunday, for the game on Sunday, Kilmarnock. But may still be, that'll be kind of a last minute thing. But obviously there's a 2-week break after the game on Sunday for international break. Then there's AGM the 21st, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Then kind of where everyone goes from there. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I do know what you mean with that. I mean, I think that really restored. Not that I've lost faith in it, but I think that definitely maintained that faith in the collective movement. The news of Martin O'Neill was clearly to try and pull on our heartstrings. And by the way, inadvertently, I think they played in the manager's heartstrings, as the new manager's heartstrings, by even putting him in that position. Yeah, I do think in time we look back and go, that was a pretty fucking cynical move. Albeit we're getting the ripples of Martin O'Neill's instant impact and magic right now. But he's in an unfair position for me. From when a guy tells you he's not really watched that many of the games and he doesn't know who all the players are, and I suppose that could be the same case if we employed someone from the other side of the world, to be fair. So who knows? But I think he's having been out the game for 6 years and with a legacy at stake. I think he deserves a hell of a lot of credit for doing it, albeit I dare say his emotions got the better of him when saying yes as well. But when they did that to soften the blow, they then decided to absolutely nuke that completely by letting Dermot have the keys to the website and the keys to the statement. And I think that was a real trigger. And I don't want to speak out of turn if you know anything more than me, or you've spoke to anyone at the games. I know you attend a lot of the games. If you spoke to anyone, whether that statement was maybe the trigger for said protest with the flares and all that outside Celtic Park. I mean, I shared it on Twitter and I was absolutely buzzing that I'd seen that side of things. That, you know, when it had been tried to be dimmed down, they came flying back. Particularly maybe at Desmond's statement. Desmond's statement was his own goal in that regard. And that's, I think, the protest did that happen. But I think with some of the replies I got, just a few hundred wee fannies, a few hundred wee Neds. Oh, where's your voice now? Oh, shut up. That was serious numbers at that, I felt, Mick. I thought it was serious numbers to be getting in the short time scale, particularly when you've just confirmed what my hunch was, and that was it was in retaliation, that protest, to the utterly disgraceful statement by Dermot Desmond. Would that be fair?
Look, definitely. I think there was just a different. It was a retaliation because it was kind of decided for the last minute, I'm sure, because that was in I think the word got out on the Tuesday.
The statement came out the Monday night.
Monday night. Talking about collective statement about the protest. It was on Tuesday, but the statement came out on Monday, and then obviously I think everybody in the support was just utterly taken aback by it. It was gobsmacked with it basically, and it just showed up the board for an absolute shit show that they are. You know what I mean? And it's how you said, Russell. He posted that on official channels and through the official website and stuff. What's our CEO doing? What's the chairman doing? To tell him, listen, that's not on. You can't keep going out through the official channels and slate just slate a guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure that can leave Celtic liable as well. You know, even if it's done through official channels. So I think everybody was just kind of gobsmacked with it. And come Tuesday night, I think it was just a case of, right, we need to do something drastic here. Let's just take that massive turn that not even anybody else really expected, and it just everything kind of blew up. So we just decided to let them go to the outside Celtic Park on a Wednesday, and discourage as many people as they could to come. So it was good. There was good numbers. It was already down the Celtic way and stuff as well. So it was the numbers were definitely there, and there was supposed to be 3 speakers there, and Scott from the Homeboys podcast, and he was one of the speakers, and he was really good. He was actually the only one that spoke because the PA got packed in after he spoke, so that wasn't ideal. But he spoke really well, and exactly that's it. He spoke really well, and he was good at stressing the collective is all different kind of organisations and CSCs and everyone coming together, and it wasn't just an ultras-led thing, because this is still getting sorted out with people at times. And he was stressed that he's just an ordinary punter who's got involved in the collective stuff like that. So the speech was brilliant, and I think it brought a lot of people together as well. And I think everybody was just in shock. So it was good to have that outlet, a protest before the game, and even in the ground, whatever, I was still singing and stuff like that going on. You know what I mean? So I think everybody's just really incensed by it and just couldn't believe it happened on the Monday.
Yeah. I think it's absolutely credit to them. Did anything happen on Sunday there?
I wasn't at the game, Russell. I don't think it was. There wasn't any. No, there wasn't any collective protest at the game, and anything. There was individual protests. I know a few people that kind of done their own banners and stuff and took them to the game, beside the board or whatever. So it was that was good. You know what I mean? There wasn't a collective action at the game on Sunday. But it was individual protests, but a lot of people organising their own, which is always good to see. You know what I mean? But as I said to you, it's not. This is I think winning in Sunday's just going to gloss over a bit, and then people will forget about it. Then they're all think coming, really. Do you know what I mean? Because that's not what the collective's about either. So it'll be interesting.
Well, it will be interesting. I think that's such an important point you make, because there can be, I'm a skeptical. I'd probably just rely on history, but there wasn't such a thing as the collective, to be fair. Before, it was just a lot of people seemed to be in unison of the sack the board movement, and then they changed their tune, and I felt it was too quick. I think that was the opportunity then to have really got change. I think Celtic fooled the removal of Peter Lawwell. I think it was a load of absolute PR. It was a PR stunt that he left the building and came back with a different title, but he was putting his son in there, and played musical chairs with a couple other job titles and stuff. I think that could have been all missed if we'd stuck together, and I think that should be the real overriding example, because it's recent history. Yeah. It's not when everyone wants to go back to the 90s and stuff. This is recent history, that there was Sharkgate, there was the banners outside, there was protests outside against the guys, and you tamed it too quick. And I think you've ultimately had to, a lot of people have had to swallow that bitter pill now when they see that actually we were right back then. We shouldn't have fucking lost our way with that just for the sake of results on the park, because at that point as well, the holy grail of the 10 in a row was gone anyway. I mean, if ever there was a time, not that you're wanting to ever jeopardise results on the park when it comes to all things Celtic, it was maybe just one of those occasions where if it is going to have a detrimental effect, the impact isn't as almighty as before. If that was to be one of the features as to why those attitudes towards the board seem to change so much. But going forward, I think when I look, the more I think of that statement for Desmond as well, Mick, I'd be quite keen to get your thoughts. Is it all aimed at Brendan? Or is Brendan also maybe his scapegoat, and he has finally spat the dummy at not just the examples he gives about Brendan? He dare not go for the fans, right? Okay. But I just wonder if there was a retaliation to what he'd seen from the fans as well, and maybe someone's had to hold him back and hold a paragraph back from that statement that might have had a pop at us, because his anger is surreal when you go through that, and it reeked of. People say it's a planned statement for weeks, and he couldn't wait to do it. I don't think the statement had that much. It had enough class in it and enough. I think it was written well enough for that to have not been a pretty instinctive movement. And there's a bit of me that thinks it was aimed at the fans, albeit maybe just his anger outwardly being aimed at fans, whilst he didn't actually bring them into sort of the situ within the letter. What do you think? Because surely you can't have your board, if he wants to call it his board, by the way, it's his board. That seems abundantly clear. His board literally told a meeting 3 weeks before that, 2 weeks before that, there was no friction. The news piece was a fucking bluff. It was all bollocks. There's no friction. His statement alone contradicts all that. But then he goes a bit further when you start thinking of how much anger's within it. And I just wonder if there's part of that statement that's him sick and tired and of losing his favourite game. And that is dominating all Celtic affairs to his tune and not being questioned on any of it by anyone.
Definitely. I mean, just a quick point, Russell. I know you're talking about the protest before, where like the Ange and stuff like that. When Ange first came in, that was like the Celtic shared protest about the board before the start of the season. That was a good protest and stuff, but it became that at that time, to put it in context, Ange was getting absolutely ridiculed in the press and everything, just getting told to shreds about even silly things about his name and stuff like that. So I was just decided that we need to get behind this guy and support him, because he's just getting ridiculed undeservedly for every angle. Do you know what I mean? In terms of Desmond, that's 100%. I mean, you can tell he spat a dummy out in the COVID season when fans went up to protest. After was it Ross County we get beat in the cup, just protests outside and stuff like that, and he decided there and then that he was not sacking Lennon because he wasn't bound down to support or giving into the support. Do you know what I mean? And Lennon I think that was November, and Lennon was still there until March. And I think it's been well known that he'd done it to spite the supporters, as if to say, like, no, don't tell me what I'm doing, what to do, how to do my job, and that. So, I wouldn't put it past him if that was kind of, like you said, it's a part edited out of that, I'd go to the fans. And he won't like people questioning
Well,
his running the club.
the anger within it, certainly, if he's showing that level of anger towards putting Brendan out to be spokesman for all matters Celtic while his CEO hid away. Brendan was saying that much because he had that many press conferences to do, that many interviews on behalf of all matters Celtic, that he was always going to have content and that he didn't agree with what the manager said. Dermot was always going to do that because you've thrown him to the sharks by this point because your cowardly board have either not stepped up or they're under instruction not to, and you're just waiting for the wee nuggets from Brendan that you can pounce on. But if that winds him up so much, then I think the fans' reaction, of course, must be winding him up just as much.
Mm-hmm.
That's just inevitable. It has to be, because Brendan's comments were tame, I thought. I personally said, if he's trying to say everything to everyone, then he's going to come a cropper. I don't know if you remember, it was me and you at the chat, and I said that to you. I said, my worry is his words are going to get used against him by one side of the fence. Because he's trying to appease everyone. He's in no man's land because he's the only voice. Now, what's actually inspired for that is when Brendan did have the testicular fortitude, if you like, to come out and have a couple of barbed jibes at the board and stuff. Nothing mental, was it? It was nothing to get that chaotic about. I think a lot of it then must be that it's seeing what the fans' views are of the board as well. It's a combined energy from both that has really pushed his buttons. But how unprofessional is that? And how bowling club FC is it, Mick, that you see Celtic operate in that manner, that they release statements of that sort of style, and then within that sort of 24-hour period, they get rid of John Kennedy and they give him a paragraph after 27 years service. They've eviscerated a manager who's won every league that he's competed in for the club and has missed out on 2 trophies out of a potential 15, something like that. You've got John Kennedy, who, whether again, I happen to think both Rodgers and Kennedy leaving on the footballing side, just in isolation, was actually the right thing for us, mate. Right? But that doesn't change how classless Celtic have been in that. And do you think that the reason we've had to get an interim manager in like Martin O'Neill, there's a few theories we can go down, but let's just go down this one first, and then we'll talk about other reasons it could be longer. But is there a bit of a realisation from the guys who have clearly got half a brain cell between them, might not be in football, it might just be in, business and stuff, and they're going, you've just made that job so unattractive. You're going to need to give us a buffer to give us time to convince someone of the ilk that the club needs to actually take us forward. Because the ones that we want, half of them you've just struck off the list. Mm-hmm. Because there is going to be managers now, Mick, seeing that and going, fuck that. And what thanks do you get if you do succeed? So you piss them off, you get your career eviscerated, you bring success, it gets forgotten. That is not a combination to attract guys to go in to that job that are of a serious reputation. So, with that in mind, do you think that could be one of the reasons why Celtic need this Martin O'Neill factor right now? Maybe to bring up the goodwill, yes, and on a footballing scale, we could talk about that. I think they need time, more time than normal. And a huge factor of that is the statement by Dermot Desmond.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just to back up that point, the next morning, I was in maybe the Wednesday morning, put on Sky Sports News just to see what they were saying about it, and they had a journalist from, I think it was The Guardian or something, I can't really remember, talking about Kieran McKenna as a possibility, and the journalist from The Guardian even said, I think a lot of managers were put off because the way Dermot Desmond absolutely slaughtered Rodgers, so it was just breaks on professionalism, and to me, it just shows, it just exposes the board again that the CEO is an absolute lame duck. So he's just sits and says nothing. If he did have his name to any of the statements or anything, you know what I mean? Then the chairman as well, obviously, it just shows up the boardroom as just a total sham, and it's there his faces only, and Desmond runs everything, you know what I mean? The fact he came out with that just confirmed everything the protests have been about. You know, it's like there's one guy that is basically running this club. So what are Nicholson and Robbie doing exactly? You know what I mean? The other board members. So it's just literally exposed them as well. So it was just one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, Russell, to be honest. And the fact that it came out so late at night as well, they've a habit doing this. They put out things at nights, so maybe not get as much traction the next morning. It might be missed or everything, but fans aren't stupid, you know what I mean? They've done it with the statement about the transfer window and everything as well. And then at the start of September, that was released a Saturday, I think it was a Friday night at 10 o'clock as well. You know what I mean? Even that makes unprofessionalism. It's ridiculous way of one. You just said it's a bowling club, you know what I mean? And it just, to me, there needs to be massive change, and we need to kind of really stop until that's been achieved, I think.
I couldn't agree more with you, mate, on that. I'm glad you've just said that. And another thing as well, if you want a wee comparison, and Celtic, by the way, these bowling club, board members, have not been shy, Mick, over the years of their odd wee jibe at Rangers. Well, see the recent statements that have been controversial? They remind me of when Rangers used to release their accounts. That's what Rangers used to remember. It used to be a Friday night, 9 o'clock. That's when Rangers released their, and we can all laugh about it. We're football fans. We're not in that professional status getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds by the club year in, year out to act like we treat our fans thick, when actually you're kind of mimicking exactly how the rivals that you've slagged off deliver their own bad news, just because it's in a different form. It's the exact same trait. I'm not impressed by that whatsoever. And I don't like feeling patronised, condescended, or in some way, as you just said, we're not stupid. So, with regards to the manager's search, I think Celtic do need more time than normal. I think that is a factor. I really do. That you're not just going to get someone, if you're really going for best in class, you've got a bit of convincing to do here, because you've just failed to back a manager for the Champions League. And by the way, see, football guys will speak to Brendan. Ian McIntosh just came on and said he was asking for the sack, in my opinion. He didn't get sacked. He resigned. He done the same in interviews when it went wrong at Leicester. At Leicester, in that summer, before he had achieved 2 fifth-place finishes, FA Cup. I do see the similarities, by the way, Ian. I actually do. But then he was all his assets were sold, and he was the only manager, I think, ever to only sign one player in a summer window, and it was in the last day of the window in EPL history. In the summer window, he signed one player, and it was John Souttar's brother, the Australian international Harry Souttar, for 15 million quid. That was to replace the likes of Fofana and stuff like that. So if he was asking for this again, I don't mind it. I don't think there's anything wrong with ruffling feathers when you're getting treated like that. And I still think this time around, managers have got to be looking at, well, what is your European aspirations? Because reading your nuclear statement, you actually praised yourself. So tell me what your European plans are. I'm Kieran McKenna. I've had Man U phone me and just and let me know I'm a person of interest if the job ever comes up. Spurs doing the same thing in the summer. Probably a countless other clubs of EPL reputation that is fucking huge. Global reputation in the case of Man U. Let's be absolutely real. If not top 2 clubs in reputation in the world. And it is heavily thought that he's someone on a short list. I'm not saying he was going to be the first pick, but he was a person noted. He was on a short list or a long list, whatever it was. He was a person noted by their hierarchy. And you want him to walk away from those eyes, which are far more on you when you're in the English, whether it's Championship or Premier League, than it would be in SPFL. Now, to do that, if your statement's all right and your model and your strategy is brilliant, is what you do by not qualifying for any Champions League campaign that you've actually got to play qualifiers in, is that a measure of our continued success in Europe? Is that what you define, guys, by continued success in Europe? And if it is, I'm out, because that's not what I would come to Celtic to do. It's just win league titles and participate in group stage football in the Champions League if we ever get back to the league being able to provide you with automatic qualification, which, of course, at this point is miles away from. So you'd be going, so if I come in and I manage to galvanise this and I win the league, we're going to have 3 qualifiers, I think it is, or maybe just 1 playoff next at the end of this season. Maybe it's just a playoff at the end of this season. But you didn't tool up for that. But you've still called it continued success, and that all your things you did was right. But I'm a football guy, and I'm looking at that saying it's not right. What draw is that? And I think there's a lot of conversations now they're going to have if they find the best in class, Mick, to try and convince them of what Project Celtic actually looks like.
Definitely. I mean, it's going to be a hard sell, isn't it? Managers on the daft as well. They'll know there's protests going on and why there's been protests going on and stuff like that as well. They'll do their due diligence to the club, obviously, before, if they're ever appointed or anything. But even back to what you were saying there, Russell, about the club saying that they viewed participation in the Champions League as a success. That wasn't actually what they said, but the beating the collective. What they said was they view group stage football as a group stage football in Europe as a barometer of success, right? Which means Europe League football. They class this season still as a success for playing group stage football. You know what I mean? That shows the level of ambition they've got. So it's not even Champions League. It's ridiculous. And that basically asked that question: is what about this season? I was still playing group stage football. You know what I mean? It's absolutely scandalous, and like you said, we've got 80 million in the bank, and we've just been run like a bowling club in so small time. It's ridiculous. So we'll see. We're seeing changes recently, obviously in the last few weeks they've come out with the findings for the Fairhurst inquiry. They've released the results of the fan survey and stuff like that. So either basically you can tell they're rattled by this, you know what I mean? And we've got an AGM coming up, and obviously the fact they'll be losing sales coming up to the festive period and Christmas period, that'll be wearing heavy in their minds as well. So, but
the heaviest in their minds that will be, I think.
100%. I mean, I'm sure somebody told me even in September they were down 50%, and that had them rattled. And that's before an organised campaign, you know what I mean, an organised boycott for merchandise stuff like that. So, so although that's going to be massively down as well if things keep going the way they are. In terms of selling it to a manager, what do you say? A manager after you've just eviscerated your previous manager in public? You know what I mean? It's
and your record is terrible with an array of managers when it comes to European level. Managers that have all had varied success elsewhere. Managers that can answer a phone before the prospective manager goes to said interview. I just want to jump in. I'll tell you why. Because Chris M is saying, question from Mick: the merch that sold like hotcakes just after the not another penny announcement. Do you think that was a corporate hijack? Because it is rumoured that there was a sale. Was it the Spezial range or something like that? It went absolutely flew off the shelves. Still, I mean, you are fighting, and there could have been lower stock levels made. There could have been. They can be very clever because it's back on sale now. I've seen the adverts, but I wonder if they just released less of it, Chris, and just kept more in back stock, and then you've got the ability to say sold out. There's a lot of politics involved here, Mick. What's your thoughts on that, though? Because the question was at you after all.
That's fine. In terms of that protest was only announced literally an hour before the shop opened, and there was folks queuing for that special range for even an hour before that. But a lot of it's a lot of misinformation about it. I don't think a lot of other stuff was sold out. It was just a black smock jacket. That was actually sold out, and they were on eBay literally an hour later, 2 hours later, for £200 dearer. You know what I mean? So a lot
so
of
that meant the whole thing had sold out.
Well, it wasn't the whole thing that they sold out. It was the jacket that sold out. You know what I mean? I checked later on. There was still jumpers and plenty of jumpers and t-shirts available. So it's a bit of misinformation there, I think. But it was just the black jacket that sold out, and a lot of that was scalpers as well to sell online. You know what I mean? I think I've seen one. I think I saw one at the game last week. Out of how many? You know what I mean? So, so that was only the jacket that sold out, and again, that was basically the protest announcement was put out an hour before the shop opened. There was folk here long before that, so I don't think there was much to do with that. But folk turned up in spite of the protest, if that's but maybe being implied elsewhere. You know what I mean? But as I said to you, a lot of special stuff was still there. I just said it was a black jacket that sold out, and then that was the kind of narrative that the protest had already failed because everything was sold out. Like, nah, it's not the case. It simply wasn't the case. You know what I mean? A lot of that was scalpers just to resell right away. So, I'm confident. I've been like past the one in the town, Celtic shop. I've been past the one at the ground, Everton, and it's been quiet. It's absolutely dead. You know what I mean? So, protest will be taking effect, I think, and obviously folk can see that they're bored of getting rattled, but so hopefully folk stick to it and we'll get a result we want in the end. You know what I mean?
That's interesting. I didn't realise that makes total sense. So you see one garment that's sold out, and inside that means the whole range is sold out, and yeah, I get that.
That's what was peddled. It was the whole range sold out. It was a jacket that sold out, and 90% of that I would say was scalpers because we're online. Less than an hour later for £200 more. You know what I mean? So I think that's a bit misleading to say the whole range had been sold out. You know what I mean? That's probably deliberately done as well. But anyway,
yeah, that's fair. No, just what's your insight on that? That makes total sense of what you've said. But yeah, so you're back to then the manager charge, and you've got the theory that we just discussed that you're going to need longer to convince a manager now because of what you've just done there, Desmond. So Dermot, so well done, Desmond. That might be his new name. Don Desmond. You don't know your name.
You call me you want. You know what I
mean? There's the other theory, of course, that this might be the reason there's been a rebuild in terms of the backroom staff. Now, that can't be a thought-out backroom staff change. That to me looks like it's a backroom staff that's been arranged hastily. I'm not trying to criticise anyone involved, by the way. I know when you see ex-Celtic players always being the sort of flavour of the month to get these roles. That's what they do. But I'm not convinced this has been brought in because the new manager has to take on said backroom staff. I think it was to support O'Neill as much as possible, which tells you can't just be there for a couple of games. And whilst I think they'll need time to get either of these candidates as well, I'm beginning to go to, I think you could see O'Neill there right up to League Cup final.
Mm-hmm.
I think the League Cup final could be the coronation of his Celtic legacy if he, fucking make sure you win it though, mate. One of the greatest fairy tale stories is Celtic history, and then it's next day he's gone, and it's Bellamy or Knutson.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, what I would say is they've still got a lot of convincing to do. I am not so sure either of them will be head over heels at the thought of joining the current version of Celtic. And that's shocking, by the way, because we should be able to prize the Wales manager away. But yeah, could we honour his World Cup campaign because he's in with a slight sniff? Sure. But he's only managed about 15 to 20 games. But his CV is very good and he's very well thought of. He spells at Anderlecht and at Cardiff and at Burnley he was at for a season as well. He is well thought of as a coach, and I think he's took it to another level with, which is a huge part of the job, by the way, whether people like it or not. Ange Postecoglou, this one's for you. How you do your media persona, because Ange gave over a masterclass in his 2 seasons at Celtic as to how to get fans on side with your media personality. And I thought he was incredible at that. If his tactics were fucking miles off in Europe, he had the right quip to give back. The right quip to give back at the presser at full time. And I commend that, by the way. Please don't think that's a aimed sort of slagging off of him. For once, it's not. I think it's a big part of the game is how you're presenting yourself as the figurehead and as the leader of the team that we're all, in your case, Mick, spending hundreds on season tickets to go watch. You need someone there that you can buy into. And I think Bellamy's impressed a lot of people with just how much he's united the Welsh support, how much he's sort of galvanised the attitude towards the football side that had really plummeted after a couple of incredible years where they were at Euro 2016 and things like that with Bale and they looked, with Bale, Aaron Ramsey, mind that it was Euro 2016 and they were really sort of shaking trees, and it was amazing to see, actually, to be fair. And I wonder if Bellamy sort of galvanising that and how he's came across, as well as what is regarded and it's highly liked in terms of his coaching CV, etc. That he's been building up humbly, by the way, over the years. Never just dove in, worked his way up, took on various challenges, working in his home country, Wales, for Cardiff, his favourite team. Then going out to Belgium with Vincent Kompany, and folk were confused. How the fuck did that? It just sounded so random, but doing good things. He would be one that you should be able to, if he is so impressive, he'd be one that would fit the December narrative. And then, of course, you've got Knutson, who now you don't shrug your shoulders when Bodo Glimt win against anyone in Europe. Mm-hmm. Bar maybe like Real Madrid's or that of the world. But some of the results they've achieved have been incredible. He's been doing it for a number of years. His contract's up at that time. That would also lead to the narrative of why we've got the backroom staff, as I say, and why O'Neill's getting that support network, because that doesn't strike as a couple of weeks' work, does it?
Nah, I completely agree. So I think that is just kind of put together just to cover us for the meantime. Like you said, it might end up Martin O'Neill being there to the cup final. Partly you'd love to see it as well, wouldn't you? Just one last trophy is, you know what I mean? But it's realistic. You want a manager in St. let's be honest. But like you said, there is talk about December being, the aim for the next manager. And for me, Knutson would be my first choice. That is what he's done with Bodo Glimt and the way he's built up the teams and the way he's brought on certain players, taking earned them big moves, and the results in Europe. Just brilliant to watch. You know what I mean? It's a guy like that you should be going for. Bellamy has been excellent as well. Don't get me wrong. You'll probably know a bit more about Bellamy than me, to be honest, when you're talking, but he's definitely well thought of, you know what I mean? But I think he's already said that he was kind of wanting to stick with Wales, so I just...
Mate, once they fail that World Cup campaign and Celtic start offering you... Because his would be a career trajectory going upwards if he came to Celtic. Knutson's going, this could be level for me. In fact, I compete better in Europe than Celtic do. So not step up, mate, in that regard. That's certainly how he's going to sell it to the board, you know?
I would be 100% against Bellamy, to be honest with him. But, I just get the impression he's want to stay with Wales, so if you know what I mean. He's quite happy there, so... But I've seen scare stories as well that folk are this December kind of, that's what I'm predicting. Hopefully appoint a new manager. I've seen that Muscat is available at that time as well, and that just can't happen, you know what I mean? I've seen a few folk...
That would not surprise me, because it's the Postecoglou template, eh?
That would surprise me either, but actually it's quite funny seeing the amount of folk that are open to it, but don't get me wrong, there's a lot of folk just said no chance as well, you know what I mean? And I'm definitely one of them. For me, Knutson is one I would love to appoint. I think Kieran McKenna is an interesting one as well, because he's done really well with Ipswich, and like you said earlier, he's highly thought of, you know what I mean? I remember him at United. He was there under Solskjaer and Mourinho, I'm sure. He was there for a few years. So he's got a good background as well, and he's done wonders with Ipswich. I think you got him 2 promotions in a row.
Yes. I wonder with visionaries, like I say visionary loosely, they're all visionaries in the English game right now. Apart from, ironically, Mikel Arteta right now, who's just went back to set pieces and more direct football, which I think we're going to see come back into vogue. Hence why we're all kind of... I think we've all got sick of the possession-based football. And you would worry about Kieran McKenna if he'd start acting to Russell Martin's at Rangers. I'm not saying he would have just as many bad defeats, cause I think or bad results, because I think the squad of players he would inherit would be infinitely better than what Russell Martin did. But what you don't get in Glasgow is time for philosophy before points.
Mm.
And it's got to be the points that come first. And that'd be my worry for that one, and probably his worry as well, to be honest with you. Leaving, as I say, the bright lights English football to go up somewhere that really whatever it is they sold to the board will actually be rendered irrelevant after the first match, and you'll quickly realise you need to find a way to win. What do you think?
No, definitely. But in terms of the way Russell Martin went, I think as a supporter, we'll be a lot more patient. And I actually agree with you, mean as well, Rob. If they don't get much time, but I think they're definitely a lot more supportive in the other side of the city. You know what I mean? The way they treated Russell Martin was ridiculous. Perfectly honest.
That by the end of it was a disgrace.
An absolute disgrace. You know, we had, remember we had Postecoglou came in, I think, sure we lost something like 3 or first 6 games, and we were a good few points behind. But even then, being at games, you could see what he was trying. You can see there was progress and we're building towards something. So we were giving him a bit of time. But even then, he's under pressure, because I think we'd lost something like 3 away games in a row or something by that point, and we were starting to fall behind. So there is definitely agree you don't get much time in Glasgow, you know what I mean? But you just want to see somebody progressive and coming in with good ideas and being back properly in the transfer market and stuff, and try and push on, because it's just not been good enough the way it's been the last few years. You know what I mean? Just the summer there was an absolute shambles, like the transfer window and everything. So you said they spoke to the fans after as well. It sparked everyone. Need to kind of get past this, point a new manager and support back properly whoever it's going to be, and show a bit of ambition again. You know what I mean?
Is that going to be something they want to do, Mick, or are they going to go down the road of going? And Celtic are delighted to appoint head coach another, right, whoever it is, and that's so they can basically just take. You get what you're given. You're not the Celtic manager, the Celtic head coach. We run things. Remember, there is nothing wrong with the model or the strategy that we currently produce. Nothing wrong with it. Not one iota, apart from a self-serving manager. So are they going to hoodwink us by going down the head coach road and just continuing on their train to fucking nowhere in terms of what they think recruitment looks like, what they think transfer negotiations look like, what they think tooling up for Champions League qualifiers look like? Are they going to continue going down that road and then do it under the guise of, well, he's a head coach, that's why we appointed him as head coach? Could that be something they're looking into? Wouldn't surprise me either.
No, definitely. When you put it past them, they've got previous for it. It just depends. I've heard sort of as well that they're looking at a director of football, so I can't literally see any messages here, by the way, because I'm too far away.
It was just someone asking if Bhoycie gives a wave. Bhoycie gives a wave.
Right.
420 somewhere, there's your wave. That was all.
All right, cool. There's been talk about director of football and everything as well, and a coach, but we'll know soon enough, won't we? You know what I mean? Who they go for and who they appoint, what road they're going to get down, but they've exhausted the patience of the fans, so they can't exactly just start filling the squad to shite again. You know what I mean? So I don't have a buffer there with that approach. So we'll see how it goes. We'll know the level of ambition I've got with the appointment to make, I think. So time will tell. But I don't trust them. I think that's fairly obvious. I trust them, you know what I mean? But we'll see who they go for and who they appoint, and then can only take it from there, can't they?
Well, that's right. Of course, that is the case. What do you think of Robbie Keane as a potential candidate, Mick? Because a lot of controversy that he worked in Israel, and I understand the huge fucking disgrace that the world's witnessed and done fuck all about. Being a genocide basically happening. Probably get us banned for YouTube, me saying that, but fuck it. And he worked within the confines of that country. But he is, according to a couple of the journalists now in TalkSport, that he's been linked with the Wolves job. but you'd rather get the Celtic job. Dermot Desmond would rather give it to Robbie Keane than anyone else, I think. That would be that's a guy he paid out his own pocket just to play for us. That would be the guy he would want. Could it all be stripped away that you don't know the ins and outs of someone's own personal trajectory of their career? Does Robbie Keane predict that any of this shit's going to happen when he takes on a job? You just see the job at a team that's at the top of their league that he can, or always around the top of the league, that he can win. And he's maybe not factored in all the other stuff. And then, of course, many will say it's been on for years and years. It's undeniably been magnified. And I think that was after the fact Robbie Keane was already there. Do you know what I mean? And can folk palate that or think, if you think he's best in class, can you just remove all that and just go, are you the best guy for Celtic? You won a league in Hungary. You've won a league in Israel. 2 leagues won over there. You've done okay in Europe by all accounts as well in terms of results in comparison with what they normally achieve, these sort of clubs. Can folks strip that back? Can they just look at it as a sporting decision and go for it and we get behind it? I don't think enough would. That would be my worry. I think I'd be capable of it eventually and going, Robbie Keane, it's not about you. It's not about your past. Are you the best guy to manage Celtic? I think you cut about an Israel fucking flag at night because you're now working Hungary. No, I don't. Do I agree with anyone going out there now? No. Do I think he probably went out there before all that stuff and probably with a ignorance to history? Not a fucking prejudice against it. An ignorance to it, probably. But I don't think enough would get, but I think it'd be extremely controversial. What's your thoughts?
For me, definitely not. Russell, I mean, he's been over there. He was over there for a couple of years, and by that point, the genocide going on was well known, and there was a big thing in Ireland about whether he should come back to Ireland, and you know what I mean. But he stayed and wanted the money basically. So that's on him. Hope he can live himself in that morally in that sense. But I don't think anybody in the support would want Robbie Keane for that reason. You might get a percentage if he starts winning games, whatever. Maybe look past that, but I know for a fact, for everybody I know, wouldn't see past it. You know what I mean? He's always tired with that, and I don't want him anywhere near the other club for that reason. I do feel quite strongly about that, but even this,
I totally get it.
Where he's winning titles or not, you know what I mean? For me, you don't do that. It's just simple. It's against everything we have support stands for. So,
but what do Celtic stand for? Well, because you've got to now separate what I think the club that I'm watching in its entirety, taking away the fans, the actual PLC that I look at. What does that stand for? It doesn't stand for fuck all, mate. To be honest with you,
no, I know, but
and their moral compass, yeah, but the support don't pick the manager.
No,
and I think their moral compass is so far out in a million things that it wouldn't surprise me if he was interviewed for it at the very least. Anyway, and they'd maybe gauge the feeling. Maybe that's what December's waiting for. To see what the mood would be like over a month as the rumours get high. This one for Van Helsing, though. I tell you what, Mick, we could get behind this, could we not? Mancini as successor. Mate, him with the green and white hoop scarf on and an Armani. Van Helsing. That is the dream, mate. You've nailed it. Mancini in the dugout at Celtic Park as our manager. Handsome combined with style, combined with a proper football CV. Holy fuck. I would fucking love that, man. I would buy anything they put out. And fuck your, not another penny campaign, by the way, no offence. I've now jumped ship. Whatever Mancini wears, I'm buying it. I will be the hypocrite to the Ange jumper all day long. Whatever I say, when I slag folk for that, Uncle Angie, what a wheelie jumper, nobody cares, it's 30 quid, it's a pile of shite, it's not even fucking made of cashmere wool, it's ain't made of wool, it's made of polyester. Mancini could wear the Emperor's new clothes, and if you know what that means, I will wear it too. Anything but Mancini would be, Van Helsing, you're welcome back in the bus anytime, mate. That would be the fucking bollocks, man. What do you think?
It's hard to argue with that. We're buying, but it'd be a dream appointment, but it really. It's look at his CV. Obviously he's been everywhere. He's won titles in Italy. He's won the Euros with Italy. coach big clubs, so I've definitely been favourite, but I don't ever see it happening, sadly. Do you know what I mean? if only, but I would certainly get behind it, put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great shout, though. And he is free. So Celtic, if you do watch the podcast and you do hate all the fans, negative vibes and that, there's a positive one for you. Now, there's a wee fucking, there's a wee fucking bit of bait. Go out and bite it. Go out and impress us and get Roberto Mancini. Yeah, the managerial hunt's fascinating. I don't know what to think because obviously we've got the other option, Mick, and that would be the international break. The international break is coming up after the Kilmarnock game. That would make sense for us to appoint someone in then. But the December rumours are rife that it's going to be December. And like I say, I think for the sake of 4 matches, that they really need to get that whole backroom staff in for 4 games. That to me looked like that's a minimum of a month's project. I'm convinced it'll be December, but I'm wrong on many things, mate.
I don't know, because we got him Martin Neil's comments after the game and Sunday. I don't think he thinks he's not going to be there for that long. And he's sure he was saying that they expect something to happen in the national break. So just need to see how it goes. But I'm kind of in the same vein of thought as you. That December rumours just not going away. I've heard it numerous times for different people and stuff like that. So, and it would tie in with Martin Neil left him one more trophy as well. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it was December, but it just can't be any longer in December. Put it that way, though. They can't be there to the end of the season and stuff like that. It's just can't be allowed to happen, you know. But I don't think it will be. Hopefully, it will be sooner rather than later. Any new appointment.
Yeah, I think that. I think there's the sentimentality of if you could get O'Neill just to keep the bounce going for a month. Can you keep a bounce going for a month? And it's to be Knutson, who's your number one target. I'd be all for that, of course. Mm-hmm. And I think that would all tie in lovely. And I think you would get Knutson coming in after the final. Why put him under that pressure for one of his first games? Let O'Neill have it. And then, I don't know. I think it would surprise me if we did something like that. Obviously, what Martin O'Neill does now need to tackle would be a rare away win in Europe just before we go. What do you make our chances on Thursday? Slim to none, or do you think we've got a good chance considering the current momentum that we're all experiencing at Celtic again since Martin came back?
Well, I don't think we're getting. Don't get all. I think Rodgers done a brilliant job overall, but the team looked dead and speeding it and stale the last few weeks. So the last couple of games are definitely playing me. What I liked about the team the last couple of weeks is there seems to be that fight again. We're winning second balls again, and we're fighting for everything now. And the confidence is up again after the last 2 wins. So just depends how we play defensively in that as well. You know, it's always that thing with Celtic away in Europe, but nothing there's defensively we've never really turned it on. But hopefully we'll get a win because we're team to play well under O'Neill and Sean Maloney. So hopefully that carries on Thursday, and then we've got a good international break now. Good feeling, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and a away win in Europa League opens that whole table up for us as well. There's no doubt about it. That is what we really need. And again, I think if O'Neill was to be going for that during that international break, I think that's a huge, huge legacy builder for him as well. That he fucking got us to the League Cup final. He won us away in Europe and brought to life our European aspirations. Anyway, we are going to get the fuck out of here. Mick, what a brilliant conversation I've had with you tonight. I can't thank everyone in the chat enough for jumping on the bus yet again on this fine Tuesday. We're out of here. We'll be back at some point soon. It might be Wednesday. It might not. Who knows? We'll see you all later. Cheers.